The morning sun had barely risen when Ethan parked his old truck outside the local pharmacy, just like he did every day before work. The streets glowed softly in the golden light, the kind that made the small town feel almost sacred. He stepped out, adjusting the coffee in one hand and his daughter Lily's backpack in the other. Every morning followed the same rhythm: drop Lily at school, stop by the pharmacy for her asthma medication refill, and grab something quick for breakfast before heading to his construction job. Life had become routine, almost mechanical. Until she appeared. The first time Ethan saw her, she was struggling to get out of a taxi, her wheelchair caught against the curb. He had parked just a few feet away. Without thinking, he rushed over, offering his help. She looked startled at first, then grateful, and together they managed to get her wheelchair onto the pavement. He noticed her smile. It was tired yet kind, the kind of smile people wear when life hasn't been gentle, but they still choose grace. After that morning, Ethan saw her again. And again. Every single day, around the same time, at the same pharmacy. Sparkles, before we go deeper into this heart-touching story, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of helping others, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel Kindness Thread. Your support helps us keep spreading these real and emotional stories of humanity. Each morning, their paths crossed. Sometimes he would help her push the wheelchair up the small slope. Other days, he'd hold the door open or pick up a dropped grocery bag. She always thanked him softly, almost shyly, and rolled away before he could say much else. Lily, his 7-year-old daughter, had started noticing too. "Daddy, that's the same lady every day," she'd chirp from the truck window. Ethan would just nod, smiling faintly, brushing it off as coincidence. But deep inside, he felt something, a quiet pull, a question he couldn't quite name. Ethan was a man of few words and too many responsibilities. Since his wife, Emma, had passed away 3 years ago in a car accident, his world had become small: work, home, and Lily. He had learned to carry his pain like a heavy backpack he never took off. People admired him for his strength, for being the kind of father who never gave up. But they didn't see the nights he sat in the dark after Lily fell asleep, staring at the empty space beside him, wondering if life would ever feel whole again. The woman, whose name he didn't know, became part of that quiet routine, like a small spark in his otherwise gray mornings. Her face lingered in his mind more than he wanted to admit. There was something about her eyes, something familiar yet distant, as if they had seen a world he had once known but forgotten. Weeks turned into months. Ethan's routine remained steady, but his heart began to notice the details: the way her hair caught the sunlight, the tremor in her hand as she reached for her purse, the faint sadness that lived behind her polite smile. One day, Lily insisted on bringing her a small flower she picked from their garden. "Because she looks like she needs a happy day," Lily said. The woman's eyes filled with tears as she accepted it. "Thank you, sweetheart," she whispered, her voice cracking. "You have no idea what that means." It was a crisp Tuesday morning when everything changed. The sun was bright, the air smelled of fresh rain, and Ethan spotted her again, right on time. As usual, he parked nearby, helped her down the small ramp, and smiled. But this time, she didn't roll away. Instead, she looked at him with trembling lips and eyes glistening with emotion. "You don't remember me, do you?" she said softly. Ethan froze. The words felt strange, like a whisper from a dream he couldn't recall. "I'm sorry," he said quietly, not sure he heard her right. The woman's hands gripped her wheelchair tightly as she looked down, her voice barely a whisper. "3 years ago, you were the one who tried to save me." For a moment, everything around Ethan seemed to blur, the sounds, the light, the gentle breeze, all fading into a ringing silence. His breath caught in his throat. "Save you," he repeated, his voice breaking. She nodded slowly, tears sliding down her cheeks. It was raining. A car lost control on the bridge. "You pulled me out before the car went over the edge, but my husband didn't make it." Ethan's knees went weak. He remembered that night. The storm. The screaming. The twisted metal. He had jumped into the rushing rain without thinking, dragging 2 people out of a crumpled car. One man hadn't survived. He had spent weeks trying to forget that night because it reminded him too much of the night he lost Emma. He had always carried guilt, believing he could have done more, been faster. And now, the woman before him, this woman he had unknowingly helped every morning, was the wife of that man. His heart ached in his chest. I didn't know, he whispered, his voice raw. She smiled faintly through her tears. I know you didn't. I recognized you the first day, but I couldn't bring myself to say anything. I just wanted to thank you for saving me. You gave me another chance at life, and I didn't even know how to live it anymore. But seeing you, watching how you care for your daughter every morning, how you still help others even when you're clearly hurting, it gave me strength to keep going. Ethan felt something break inside him, an old wall of grief finally cracking open. All this time, he had thought he was just helping a stranger. But maybe, in helping her, he had been helping himself too. He looked up at the sky, fighting back tears. Maybe we were both meant to find each other again, he said softly. From that day forward, their meetings weren't just silent moments of kindness, they became shared reminders of hope. Ethan and the woman, whose name he learned was Grace, began talking more. They shared stories of loss, healing, and the weight of second chances. Lily adored her, often calling her Miss Grace and insisting on visiting her after school. Slowly, quietly, life started to open up again for both of them. Months passed, and Grace began therapy to regain partial movement in her legs. Ethan often accompanied her, pushing her wheelchair down the sunlit paths outside the rehab center, both of them talking about the past and the future as if time itself was giving them a second chance. One bright afternoon, Grace managed to stand with support for the first time. Ethan was there, holding her hand, his eyes wide with pride. You did it, he whispered. Grace smiled through tears. No, she said softly, looking at him and Lily standing together, we did it. The world seemed a little lighter after that. Ethan no longer felt trapped by his grief, and Grace no longer felt defined by her loss. Together, they had learned that healing doesn't always mean forgetting, it means finding new ways to live with the memories, to let love and kindness rebuild what pain once tore apart. If this story touched your heart and reminded you of the power of kindness, second chances, and human connection, please like, share, and subscribe to Kindness Thread. Your support helps us keep sharing these emotional stories that bring light to dark places. Before you go, we'd love to hear from you in the comments. What's one act of kindness that changed your life or someone else's? Share your story below, it might inspire someone who really needs hope today. As the sun set behind the small-town pharmacy one last time, Ethan watched Grace take a few careful steps beside her wheelchair. Lily clapped her hands in pure joy. And for the first time in years, Ethan felt peace wash over him. Life had come full circle, not through miracles or luck, but through kindness, courage, and the quiet power of never giving up. Because sometimes, the people we help without expecting anything in return, are the ones meant to help us heal.